close. They've got 100 yards to go. Beach Boy digging in, leads by a head to Trilby and Berkshire Cruise, and it is just Beach Boy and Trilby, followed by Berkshire Cruise.
Estra towards the right-hand side. Kitty Karma is trying to pick up as well, and then Coverdale inside the final furlong. They go now, and up front it's Orchestra who's burst to the front from Knights Over Egypt. Coverdale is finishing.
Year-olds only. It's over the straight mile. It's a qualifier for the straight mile championship later in this season. Concord 7-4 on, 7-2 Leap Year Lads, Kangai 10-1, 11-1 on the drift is Zakram, Tollerton Forest 14-1, the go-to 22-1, 7-4 on the field. And Chris, Concord a short price favourite.
Yeah, Concord at the top of the market on handicap debut for the George Bowie team, and just looking at his record with handicap debutants in recent times, he's nudging to 30% strike rate with his handicap debutants. So it is a good record, and he's got a good strike rate generally, and Concord might just be another one that improves plenty for the switch.
Yeah, I mean, when I seen the prices, I was trying to look to see if I could find something to oppose him, because he would be well too short for me to back. But even looking at him in the prelims, he was definitely one of the picks of the paddocks, you know, for what we were saying, a son of 60s icon. Sometimes they can come up kind of quite small and narrow. He had plenty of size to him. A really nice step as well when he walked. Something I look forward to see whether they would handle the ground or not is if they have a little bit of a knee action when they walk around the paddock. And you can see even just walking there how high he picks his knee up. So I would think he would be able to handle the conditions today. So, yeah, there was a lot of positives about him in the prelims.
Yeah, and his 3 runs so far, they haven't been particularly encouraging. The best one was the first one, but he was handicapped in less than a month. And
very
now
quick there, within a few weeks, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. Sort of mid-October to early November, and he was done and put away. So it's just the MO of the stable to get a mark, and 55, I'd say there's a fair enough chance that underestimates him. Leap Year Lad, he's coming into it in good form. He's a bit tricky, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not the most straightforward. He's now a 10-race maiden. He was gelded prior to the start of the year. He does look like he's kind of getting his act together. The cheap pieces, whether he's just been over racing with them a little bit, he's always ridden, you know, quite prominently. I'd expect him to be ridden again the same today. He goes there to win his race, and then looks like he goes for his win, then kind of half loses a position or two, and then manages to run on again. So whether or not he might be worth dropping in and maybe riding to finish a race other than making the running, I don't know. I'm not his trainer, but that is just something I've observed from the way from the way he goes. But he's definitely, obviously, holding his form well enough to suggest that he should be able to play a part again today.
Zakram was generally consistent last year, and he's got some easy ground form. He just looked in need of the run at Bath in what was a competitive low-level race.
Yeah, I mean, he did look like he very much ran out of petrol, and I would very much expect him to come on for the run. I mean, he held his form more or less, didn't he, throughout the season last year as a 2-year-old. I just thought Leap Year Lad, if he can just save a little bit for the finish, it's a winnable race for him.
Yep. And last one's coming in. Let's go back to Malcolm.
They're off. Just missing the kick a little bit was Tollerton Forest as they settle down early on in the Graysmith Legal Straight Mile Handicap Stakes. Crossing to the far side, the nose-banded Kangai is first to begin. The white face of the go-to between horses, and the grey horse knee side, Leap Year Lad, also nose-banded. Zakram tucks in behind them in the yellow and black, followed by Concord in the mauve, and Tollerton Forest in the white with the black star on the cap at the back of the field. So through the first couple of furlongs, and it's Leap Year Lad who's been sent to the front here for Shane Gray. Leads up by just over a length to Kangai racing in second place. The go-to continues to race close up in third. Zakram is still centre pack, followed through by Concord, who's content to sit back in the field in the mauve jacket. And the overall back marker continues to be Tollerton Forest. So right down the straight, they come back towards the halfway point, closing in on the final half mile. And no change on the front end. Still Leap Year Lad setting a decent clip here. Leads up by just over a length to Kangai, who's shadowing the leader. And then a little bit wider out is the Go-To. The second of the grey horses to the inside. Zakram tries to make up a little bit of ground. Concord's coming down the centre and is making ground. The back marker is Tollerton Forest. Closing in on the final 2.5 then. Leap Year Lad about to be gathered in by the smooth travelling Concord. Between horses is Kangai. They're followed through by Zakram, who's back in fourth, but Concord's been sent to the front. And this one starts to readily quicken on. Back towards the final furlong they come. Concord goes on by a couple. Leap Year Lad is kept going, so too Kangai in the red and black stripes, but up front is Concord, who's sailing away here inside the final half. Concord just nudged out hands and heels by Ben Curtis, who will go on to win very readily indeed. Back in second is Kangai, Leap Year Lad for third, and Zakram came home fourth.
Another handicap debut winner for the George Bowie team. Concord has made light of his opening rating of 55 to win with a bundle up his sleeve at the expense of Kangai in second. Leap Year Lad was third and Zakram was fourth, but Concord, they found a weak enough race, and well, you'd hope they've got him out with options under a penalty, but it's a Monday, it's a good day to go and win like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and he certainly has definitely made a mockery of his mark, hasn't he? I think it was quite evident at least 2 furlongs out that he was travelling very strongly under Ben Curtis, and he seemed pretty keen to pull him out and basically asked him to go and win his race, and he duly obliged, absolutely relished the ground. He's got quite a high, predominantly high knee action, so even he'd probably be a horse that probably even could handle a little bit softer. I can imagine he would probably get a little bit further as well, based on his pedigree as well, because there's plenty of stamina in there. And he was fit and ready to go, didn't he, first time out? I'd have to say, though, Kangai was one that we liked in the prelims, wasn't he? And he's ran a good race, but he had shown some form as a 2-year-old on soft ground. So he might be one who might want to be seen when the ground's soft. I mean, I think we've still got a little bit more rain forecast around for the next few days, so he might even be able to run again soon. But Ben Curtis has dropped. He's sat last at this point, isn't he? I think it's evident to say that he's just kind of tanking his way through the race, isn't he?
He's certainly willing to bide his time. The horse is entered at Chelmsford later on in the week, and as I said, they've got plenty of time to get entries on into next week as well, given it's a Monday where they'd only carry the penalty. The horse in front at the minute is Leap Year Lad, who's he doesn't help himself, does he?
He's quite keen. When Shane first jumped out, he didn't look like he wanted to rush him up there to the front, but he takes him there because he's obviously quite keen. He overdoes it, and he doesn't save a whole lot for the finish, does he? Which is a shame, because he's not a bad stamp of a horse. He ends up then does he stay on for third in the end?
Yeah, he keeps for third ahead of Zakram. He's probably a horse that wants a little bit further. His brother did do, and I'd say that he just looked.
It's just trying to get him to settle over further, isn't it? But if he kind of gets his act together and settles, then it is definitely an option that they could step him up and trip. And Ben Curtis has barely had to move